I'm Edwin.
I'm Joseph.
And again, this is
Edwin and Joseph Talks.
So today we're going to do something a little different. Today's video is going to be on conspiracy theories. I looked up the top 10 most, I don't know if it's say popular or talked about. But the way this will work is I have all 10 written down. I have a few facts on them. I'll go ahead and read through them, one conspiracy at a time. And then I'll get your thoughts on, I guess, your opinion on everything and see how that goes.
Now, I'm not a conspiracist. I don't really look up the theories. There's a few ones that, that I know about. There's only one that I really believe, and I believe that's covered in here. So, with that being said, some of these will be new to me. Some of them not. Also, this is going to be in separate parts, so be looking for another part because we're probably not going to get through all 10 in this one video. With that being said, I'll let Edwin take over and he'll tell me what we're looking at.
All right. So the first one we're going to talk about is actually the JFK assassination.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
on this one, I do know about. This is probably the one conspiracy that I actually believe that there's a conspiracy about. But I also think that's majority of America.
Yeah.
Even the world, they all know something is a mess with this one. But go for it.
So, November 22nd, 1963 is the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. A lot of people know, from what I understood, there was 2 bullets, one to the back of the head and one to the neck. He was killed while driving through Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas, the Texas School Book Depository. From the tower of the depository, most people believe Lee Harvey Oswald was the shooter. Many believed he acted alone. But there are some people who believe there was a second shooter hiding in the grassy knoll of the depository. And I believe you had mentioned something about a third shot, but we'll get into that once I get on your end. Now, there is also a few other theories. One is that the CIA did it out of anger over the Bay of the Pigs Cuban incident. And there's others that believe that they did it out of orders from Lyndon Johnson, which was the one who succeeded him. And the other theory is that the KGB Russians did it, or the mob did it out of retaliation for his brother bringing prosecution to organized crime rings. Only 32 people believe that Oswald shot and acted alone. The other, I believe there's like 70% that believe that there's more to the story as far as reasons why he was assassinated. So on that, what are your thoughts as far as that goes? Because I know this is one you're actually, one you're very into.
I've seen a lot of documentation where there was 3 shots. The one from the grassy knoll, so it came from this way. Then there was one that was about midway, and then there was one shot that was on down. I believe there was a bridge down there, and it was shot that way. It was this shot and that shot that actually hit. The way that the projectiles hit. I believe that Oswald was the scapegoat. There's not too much on that. I believe that, you needed somebody to blame, and they set him up on it. Point and done. Now, for who did it, who knows? I had also recently heard about that JFK spearheaded us going to the moon. He was the first president to start talking about this. And I've heard that he had intelligence that they didn't want out about basically UFO intelligence and stuff like that. And that's also what did it. Now, who did it? We don't know. And I believe it's one of those conspiracies that, even though it happened so long ago, that it would still be an outrage if we found out who did it, and that's why we're not getting any information. I believe the government knows 100%.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we probably never get 100% the truth on.
At least in our lifetime, I think eventually they'll have to release that information. I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime. I think it's going to be, later on down the road until, it gets to a point where future it's not really going to affect them at all. Where for us, I could see a lot of Americans still being really outraged about the information that would be released.
All right, now this next one is, it's still kind of fresh. It's still kind of something that a lot of people talk about. So before we head into it, like Joseph said earlier, we're both not really into a whole lot of conspiracies. It's something that I like to read about, just because there's a lot of things that go into them. But none of this has our personal views. We don't necessarily agree with one side or the other when it comes to these. And that's just, because some of these will be kind of touchy. With that being said, the next one is the 9/11, attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody remembers September 11th, 2001. So 42% of Americans believe that the government and the 9/11 Commission either concealed or neglected evidence that actually contradicted what they explained to us initially happened. So in other words, there's people out there that believe that there is something that's not being told to us, something that's hidden from us as far as what really happened that day. One of the most popular beliefs about it is that then President George W. Bush was behind it. The two main reasons is just either trying to finish what his father had started back in the 90s with the Desert Storm and all that, towards the Middle East. Another very popular one is that it was a reason to invade for oil, which was like the most popular at that time. Many wondered why the North American Aerospace Defense Command didn't send any kind of fighter jets to intercept these planes, because it was more than one that was going off course. So there's a lot of people that wonder why there was no kind of drill or any kind of just any military interference to stop these jets that were going off. And the most popular theory with it is the jet fuel from the plane not being able to burn hot enough to melt the structures to make it collapse the way it did. I know I've also heard that a lot of people thought that the way the building fell and the explosions, many believe that it was an inside job with time-planned detonations, with bombs. So again, this is going to have no personal opinion on this, just more or less what your thoughts are on it.
On this one, I've heard some of those. I don't actually believe there was any more. There was 20 guys that had a plan, and I believe those 20 guys executed their plan. Their whole intent was to cause havoc on American soil, and they did that. I've also seen, it was like, I don't know if it was like Mythbusters or it was something like Mythbusters, where they take the myths and recreate, and that was one of the things that they did, and they showed how, where it hit, basically how that could have worked. I don't think it was a government conspiracy in it. I think it was just a tragedy in our history, and one that is kind of sad. I wish it never had happened. I remember, it's one of those things that I think in American history, if you were alive then, you'll always remember that moment.
I still remember the morning, is walking into English class, seeing it on the TV, and thinking I thought it was a movie.
Yeah, and I was sick that day, and I remember my first thought was like, did I drink too much Robitussin? I was at home watching it, and then the next day when I went back to class, they were all talking about, watching it. And it is just something that, for a long time will, I think, always be remembered in our history. In fact, I think you had mentioned that soon they're going to be talking about it in like history books.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's this year or next year, but students will actually be reading about it in history books and classes. So I mean, it's been a while since it's happened, but I think mentally and as emotionally, as far as the country goes, I think it's still pretty fresh. In there.
Now, for this episode, we're almost out of time. Do you want to give us a glimpse in the next episode, or do you just want to just kind of throw it in there when we do it?
I think we'll just throw it in there and go as we go. So.
Go ahead, like, subscribe, comment. This is a multi-part episode. Go ahead and watch us in the next one.
Thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time.